Hey guys, Thomas is a Mustached. I'm here to review the movie Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Alrighty then, if you end up enjoying this review, then consider joining my Patreon. That'll be the second link in the description below. With that being said, let's get right into it. Oh, and I should also mention that this is going to be a spoiler review because fuck it. I'm gonna be that asshole that does the spoiler review on day one because I don't care. And I don't think people watching this video are gonna care. I'm gonna have the spoiler name on the title, so if you watch the video, then I'm gonna assume either you watched it too, or you don't care to and just want to hear someone's opinion on it. And, well, before I can even dive deep into this movie, I suppose I should recontextualize what I thought of the previous two Star Wars movies, since those are within the framework of this trilogy. And at first, when I first originally saw the first of the three set, I thought the first one was okay. And after recontextualizing it with this trilogy, boy, was that just a sheet. It was a magic trick. That is what that movie was. The first, I don't even remember the title of that movie anymore. Whatever the subtitle is, Star Wars, whatever. The first of the Disney trilogy. It was a magic trick. That's all that Star Wars movie was. It was a fucking magic trick to deceive audiences everywhere, and it fucking worked. It fooled me, and it certainly fooled a lot of people, but man, the wasted potential, and, or lack thereof, I should say, because really there was a lot of setup you could have done within the context of one movie, and still leave a lot of setup for the other two movies, but no, they just have, the most intriguing character, or at least I thought was going to be the most intriguing character at the time, Finn, being this rebel who decided not to partake in the evilness that was the rebel forces, and they just sort of have him be a bumbling idiot for the rest of the movie after he switches sides. It's like, that's it? That's really where you're gonna go with that? You could have done any other X amount of things, and you decide to have him be the comic relief out of all the characters. You're really gonna leave that to that position already. You already had Rey. Already, so much of a lack of character in that first movie. You don't even have her train, which is how this movie actually starts after the title crawl of words that need to be read. But yeah, it just starts with her like training. It's like, well, it happens a little bit later, but still, like, what? Why wouldn't you have addressed that in the first movie? Why are you addressing this now? And this is from the same director that brought us the first of the Disney trilogy. You could have had that set up beforehand, but you're introducing it now. That just speaks to me, saying that we heard the criticism, so we're just gonna throw it in just to please you. Please just watch the Star Wars movie and enjoy it, even though it's a fucking mess. Please look at the spectacle. Please look at this magic trick. Please enjoy it. Please enjoy this magic trick, even though you already know the answer. That's what this is. It's a magic trick where you already know the answer. And the trailers, if you've seen them, you know that Palpatine is in this movie. So that's not a spoiler at all. So where does this movie begin? Well, it begins with Kylo being evil. And I should just put an asterisk next to that, because he's spent 2 movies now being evil, and now he spent the beginning of the 3rd movie being evil. And this movie is really trying to have people believe that at the end of all of that evil, you can forgive all of it. Just every ounce of evil just fuck it, come back to the good side. You're a good guy. We believed in you ever since all of that evil shit you did. You killed your dad. You just, okay, just be good. You can be good, even after you killed several people. It's like, no. Do you not know that there is a line that he crossed? It's like this movie is trying to pretend that there wasn't ever a line that he crossed. That, oh, he was just misunderstood. He took on this fake name and... no! Stop it! If anything, Kylo Ren should have been the ultimate bad guy in this movie. From what everything else was setting up. That should have been the obvious conclusion. Like, it was gift wrapped. It was fucking gift wrapped to the writers in this trilogy, and you just let it go. You just like, no, bring Palpatine back, because he was already dead, though. Why bring him back? It makes no sense. There's zero sense that makes. He is actually a zombie. He's actually zombie Palpatine. I am not kidding. That is the form we see him in, and he even says that he died. He says that he died, and he is there, so he is a zombie now. He is zombie Palpatine. Oh my lord. This is ridiculous. Absolute nonsense. So, Kylo, doing his evil deeds, is trying to pick up this triangle thing, the MacGuffin that will lead him to a separate to this location. I forget what the triangle thing is called. It's just a device. It's a MacGuffin. That's what it is. And I don't mind MacGuffins. They're just there to lead characters to places, whatever. Fine. Have your MacGuffin. Whatever. So, a voice, as I mentioned, zombie Palpatine is talking through to Kylo, and he mentions all like, Snoke was my puppet all along, that's why he was kind of worthless, blah blah blah. It's like, oh, okay, whatever, I don't, fine. So anyways, after we're done checking in with our villain, because whatever, we just gotta redeem him, to pretend like he's not evil. We cut to Chewie, Finn, and Poe, who are playing some game. I don't know, they're just chilling out in space, wasting some time. They have some new crew members for some reason. They have like an alien with them that's like fixing their ship, and this other alien that mentions that they have a spy on their side. Oh boy, the spy thing, fuck that shit. That, you knew, as soon as they mentioned a spy, you were like, oh, they are trying to retcon, they are trying to fix what the last movie broke really desperately. And it just goes to the most obvious place. Anyways, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna put a pin in that. We're gonna jump to the TIE fighters coming in hot, and they fly off and they start shooting. They start like shooting up like a little piece off of a bridge to like give them enough distance to use their new mechanic in this, time-space skipping, and that's what they actually call it in the movie, where they cut through space, they warp several times to several different locations and have the other ships follow them through these several different locations to warp into a worm area where there are several worms, and then warp again just as they are about to enter it, and have the other bad ships die. Okay, fine. Fuck it, because you needed to, because the time-space shit was already fucked, because they needed that to explain that too. Anyways, we cut to Rey being able to fly and move rocks, because she's super force now, And within the context, this doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't seem like it appears to be flashing back. It's suggesting that they're training in the present. So what the actual fuck? You're not gonna have any suggestions to suggest to us, the viewers, that this was supposed to be a flashback? Fuck it, I would have taken a little thing of text at that point saying that this was in the past, but we don't get that, so I'm assuming that this is taking place in the present, because I have no context as to when this is supposed to take place, and it makes no sense that Rey would need training. She was already a super badass anyways, but heaven forbid that she has new powers that, even with the context of that very training, still doesn't make sense. How do you do that? How do you mess that up? You create a training sequence where you could have had something set up for what is going to happen later, and you don't show anything that could lead from point A to point B. You skip from point A to point B. And that's not how this works. This movie clearly needed the Marvel treatment, and Marvel's under the MCU. It's under Disney. That this movie clearly needed that type of treatment of like actually building little elements in much more movies. That's what this needed, and I feel like based on this very trilogy, I think the way actors are hired on needs to desperately change, because if actors are going to be treated to this, and even after the second movie, which was an absolute shit show, I think actors should have a new thing in a script. If a movie is that bad, they should have the ability to walk out on this movie, and I think they should have, honestly. I think they should have walked out after the previous movie, because that treatment was absolutely shit, and I think that actors deserve more leeway about, like, if you're gonna be in a shit movie trilogy, you should be able to walk out if it turns into shit. I think that needs to be added on to contracts from here on out, because clearly that is what needs to happen here. Anyways, back to the movie. So we're rejoining Kylo, and he's doing his thing. He's looking at the helmet of, oh god, the Darth Vader helmet or whatever. And he's having flashbacks to when he did all of the other evil things. He's like, oh, it's so evil. And Leia, sorry, not Leia, but Rey is also having a moment. She's also, like, flashing back too, because they still have that weird connection or whatever. Excuse me. So, she gives her the lightsaber that she has back to Leia, that being Luke's saber, and she calls Leia her master, question mark, as if Leia was a Force master now, which, again, it didn't even make sense in the last movie that she had that much Force power, but she's just a master now? What? When did that happen? I'm sorry, but more off-screen stuff? Okay, whatever, just neglect and move on. That is this movie's pacing, is just keep moving forward. Don't, this movie clearly needed a separate movie. There needed to be a separate thing to, like, fix this, and it needed a better starting point first and foremost, but, I already talked a little bit about that. So anyways, Finn and Poe are arguing for whatever reason, and then Rey's like, she returns them, and then she, like, gets in the argument because she was like messing with the little BB-8 and Poe wrecked their ship, so they're like complaining about who did it worse or whatever, and it's okay. The friendship, I don't know. So they get further intel on Palpatine. They learn that he's still out there, still alive. Zombie Palpatine, everybody. Woo! And then Rey, like, runs off, hearing the name of some planet, and she, like, knows to look into, like, what Luke was apparently looking into, which is, like, the MacGuffin. He was looking into a MacGuffin, question mark? I don't recall him looking into the MacGuffin, but apparently, according to her, he certainly was, and it's that MacGuffin that I mentioned earlier. It's called a Sith Wayfinder. It's that triangle thing I mentioned earlier. Oh, and Rose is there too, but she doesn't do anything in this movie. Don't you worry. She does absolutely nothing. I kid you not. She does nothing. Like, man, they just did not know what to do with her. Like, they probably looked at Canto Bight and thought, you know, Rose probably shouldn't do anything. That shit was fucked. Probably shouldn't have Rose do anything until the very, very end, where she, like, decides to head out because everyone's fighting, I guess. But other than that, from the beginning to the end, there's a huge gap of time where she's doing nothing, so, you know. Anyways, before Rey heads out, Leia gives the lightsaber right back, so that was kind of pointless. And the team heads out. You have your Rey, you have your Finn, you have your Poe, and you have Chewie, you have R2-D2, you have C-3PO, all the crew's there, and they're heading out. Meanwhile, Kylo works on rebuilding his helmet for reasons, I guess. And he knows now that he has a spy. He gets intel too, I guess. And he immediately turns to Hux. I wonder what the spy is. Womp womp, it's Hux. I'm just gonna say it now. Save you some time. He was so incompetently written in the previous movie that they just made him the spy. And he wasn't in get this. No, I have to save it. I have to save it because it's so stupid. It is so stupid. I have to save it. I have to savor the layer of shit that they do to Hux because of the previous shit. So that shit just piles on up. You understand that? Okay, so Kylo chokes out another dude because it's like, oh, remember, he's the bad guy. Remember, he's the bad guy. He's choking out another bad guy. He's like, doesn't that remind you of Darth Vader? Anyways, we cut to the team heading into this festival planet, and all the alien crew are there. They're all dancing and happy and stuff. Okay. And Rey sees this little alien, and she's like asking, like, what's your name? And she says, I'm Rey, and I don't have a last name. I wonder where that's gonna go. I wonder if the rise of Skywalker means anything now that she doesn't have a last name. Suspicious. As if that answer wasn't obvious. It's like, yeah, you know shit. She's gonna take the name. Like, I told you this is gonna be a spoiler alert. Like, what? Just fuck it. Anyways, so Rey talks to Kylo with the previous installment where they could talk to each other through the Force. And Kylo is trying to tempt her to the dark side, even though in the previous movie he was like, oh, I want you to join my side. My side's not going to be in the dark side. It's not going to be in the light side. It's going to be in this different side or whatever. But no, now I want you to be on the dark side. Okay, fine. So Kylo heads out. And Rey takes out the stormtrooper guy that's like hunting them down, and in the process they meet Lando. He's just there in this planet for some reason. I don't know. And they head out after finding Lando. They get chased by more stormtroopers, and they try to make the joke of like, oh, the stormtroopers, they can fly. No. Humor? I don't know. I guess that was supposed to be an attempt at comedy, but the movie's moving so fast, and like I don't know much outside of like the main installments of Star Wars. I'm not that invested in this franchise to like seek out other Star Wars movies. I kind of fell off as soon as like the prequels kind of came out, and when Disney's Star Wars happened, I was just like, I fell for the magic trick, and then I went, oh, this is actually really shit. The entire thing is actually just a huge hump of shit just piled on, but it's okay. I have other franchises that I'm way more invested in. I'll keep to my Digimon, thank you very much. Anyways, they take out the stormtroopers anyway, but they do get blasted off the thing that they're riding on. It's like some sort of vehicle, and they all land in quicksand, like this dark quicksand that sucks them up. And it cuts away to suggest that they all just died for some reason. It's like, why would you cut there? Surely you would want to at least show that there's something underneath, but they cut to Leia very briefly, and then they cut back to them sinking into this cave-like section. It's bizarre. So Finn has something he wants to say. Like, they were in the quicksand. He says, oh, I had something to say. I don't know what that something is, because he never says it. At least, I don't think he ever does, because I don't know. He doesn't say, oh, remember that thing I said I wouldn't say? Well, I'm saying it now. He doesn't say anything of that nature. He just says nothing in regards to that, so, okay? Why? Why would you mention that if you weren't gonna ever bring it up again? So, they find a body of a dead person named Dead Ochi, or Uchi. Uchi. I think that's how they pronounced it. Uchi. And R2-D2, in this level of stupidity, get this, he finds a clue within this dagger, and it's in the language of the Sith. I actually didn't even know that the Sith had their own language. That's how much I'm outside of Star Wars now. I was unaware of this. But apparently they do. Fine. Whatever. But he can't tell them what it is for whatever reason. It was like coded in his system. What? Was R2-D2 ever at a point? Was he created by the Sith? I don't even remember this, if he was. Like, wasn't he built by, jeez, who was he built? Was it Luke or was it before Luke? I don't remember. It's been too long. But I don't recall anything about the Sith. Like, I don't know why that would even be the case. But he can't read it. He can't read it aloud, even though couldn't he have written it down? It's that sort of problem of, like, there's other ways you could probably communicate it, but you're just not going to. So Rey sees this worm. They encounter an underground worm, and everyone's freaking out, but Rey stops everybody and goes toward the worm. And here we go. We introduce force healing. Okay, so when was this a thing? force healing, that wasn't even presented in the training. This is exactly what I'm talking about. That was not introduced in the training. Why would she have the capability to force heal? And why wouldn't they use that before if they knew that that was a thing? Why would you do that? It makes no sense. The power scaling is just absurd. So they have this dagger they can't decipher. And R2-D2 is being dumb because he can't write down the code. So Chewie takes the dagger and Rey heads out. Like, she storms off on her own for reasons. Like, she can sense something is up. And Chewie's, like, goes off after her. But two of Kylo's, whatever they're called, the Kylo warriors, I already forgot what they were called. The Knights of Ren, that's what they were called. Oh my god. I apologize, but I actually forgot what they were called because they were so inconsequential to anything. They were always near, about, but they didn't do anything that would stand out. So Chewie gets caught by them, and he gets brought into this singular ship. And I want to point this out because we see a singular ship, but apparently there was another ship there off-screen. Apparently, because I cannot explain what happens next unless there was a second ship there that I did not see. So, okay, keep that one in mind. So Rey remains where she is, lightsabers on. Kylo gets to her location on his little round ship, and you see that in the trailer where Rey, for whatever reason, looks to the camera, does the pose, and we see that in the trailer. We see her do the jump, we see her, and that results in her clipping the ship on the side. It's like the big round part, and then there's like these small, thinner lines. Like, she jumps through that section and then cuts that. Excuse me. So, we see that, and Kylo walks out. He's fine. And Rey sees the opposing ship getting ready to lift off. And she knows that they have the MacGuffin at this point, because Chewie had it. So Rey, using the Force, stops an entire ship by using the Force. She pushed up a bunch of boulders, now she can stop an entire ship by using the Force. Okay, that's crazy. And Kylo, walking out as he was, very calmly, moves in as well, using his own fighting back technique of using the Force to, like, make the ship go back and forth. And out of nowhere, if you thought Rey having Force healing was nonsensical and out of place and didn't have any rhyme or reason to exist, Rey shoots out Force lightning and explodes the entire fucking ship, still thinking Chewie was on there, mind you. So now all the good guys think Chewie is dead. What the hell? What the actual that? And Kylo, being the ever confident man he is, he's just standing there. He has this perfect opportunity to do something, and he just stands there. Like, why? That doesn't make any sense. She's right there. You could take advantage of that. You are evil at this point. But no, he just stares out into the distance, thinking, yeah, it's not gonna... I'm too lazy to walk forward, I guess. even though he was able to walk up to her, up to that distance, and then suddenly just stop. So yes, the one ship we saw explodes, and we assume, because the heroes assume, that Chewie was very clearly on that ship because it was the only ship on screen. But boy, they try to skirt past that one, and it's nonsense. It's just nonsense. So Rey talks about when they escape, obviously, about her fear about this vision she keeps having about her being on this throne with Kylo. Okay, that's a fear, I guess. And Chewie, we cut to him pretty quickly because timing. He was somehow on another ship. How did that happen? How's there a second ship? Again, I keep asking because there's no shot that I saw. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I could have sworn there was one ship. Maybe there was two. I don't know. Anyway, so C3PO, there we go, has a memory of the dagger still in his head. And he's like mentioning that to the crew while they're like trying to figure out what to do. And R2-D2 just finds this other robot, who they call the Cone Robot, I think. It claims that it has a name. I didn't even hear it, honestly. It's able to talk, which is okay. But for the sake of this review, I'm just going to call it the Cone Robot. And yes, the Cone Robot does a thing that it's like, okay, so you have that now, fine. Anyways, so Finn and the crew somehow end up like in this city. They're just there now. As the stormtroopers are looking around, the others are there. It was initially just Poe that was there, like he was like the initial one, and then we see that the others are there too, and we meet a new character, as if this movie didn't need enough weirdness. We meet a new character named, I believe her name was Zori, and Zori is like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you, Poe," and Poe's like that's his entire gimmick with her, I guess. But Rey calms her down after a little bit of scuffle. So she decides, okay, I'm gonna help you, I guess. After the little scuffle, they're gonna sneak in. And as I mentioned, the Knights of Rey are close by, but they never actually really do anything. And C3PO says his line of like, "Oh, I'm gonna take one last look at my friends," as if he was hanging around with these guys for like a long time. Okay. So Poe is hanging out with Zori. They have this like little moment, and Poe mentions Crate, which is like when they were. I think Crate's the one where at the end of the last movie, where they barely escaped, where he claims that they were calling out for hope. I think I recall that happening. But yeah. So anyways, Rey repairs the Circle robot, because I forget that one's name. So there are 4 robots that they have now with them. A BB-8, I think that's one. I think that's what it's called, I don't know. So Rey, having the dagger in hand, recall that it has some sort of vision or whatever, or like a mind moment where she's like thinking about her parents and dead Ochi, which is like, I think it's supposed to be insinuated that Ochi assassinated her parents on behalf of Palpatine. I think that's what they were trying to suggest. I think that's what came across. That's the best conclusion that I can come to based on the information that I have currently available. So C3PO, after memory wipe, gives them the location and passes out. So the ship that Chewie's on comes in, and Rey at that distance is able to sense that Chewie is still alive. So C3PO is also reset at this point. Zori gives Poe this coin that somehow gives them, like, access to land anywhere. Okay? I don't know why that's a thing. And again, Poe, one in that, wants a kiss from Zori, but is definitely denied. Of, like, okay. So anyways, they make their way onto the ship, and they look to Finn, who literally says, I have no idea where to go, and then proceeds to lead them anyway. Like, why? Why would you have a character say that and then proceed to lead people in a way to go if you have nowhere set to go? Like, what was the point of that line? I had to point it out because it was so stupid. So anyways, Rey uses the Force to control people. Remember the mind control? She does that now too. As if she didn't have enough new powers, we're gonna also give her one of the old powers too. And have it be successful. You know, she couldn't do it with Kylo in the previous movie, but she can do it to Stormtroopers, give her the directions that she needs. So she splits off from the other two who go to get Chewie, and they free him successfully. And they just start running out with Finn and Poe and Chewie, fire their way out, take out some Stormtroopers. Poe gets shot in the arm area, and he's okay. They get surrounded. So they're in dire restraints. So Rey takes the dagger. I forget how she had her hands on it at this point. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And Kylo do another Force talk. And they're not in the same room. Rey's on the ship. Kylo is still on that planet because he was with the Knights of Ren. And they are able to physically clash with their sabers with the Force at separate locations. So yes, the Force can have a physical distance. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter anymore. Fuck distance. You can fight from anywhere. As long as you're just Kylo and Rey, you can just fight no matter how far apart you are. But Rey sees her parents in the mind space and is like, oh no, I'm just gonna run now. Because they almost have a draw. So, as I mentioned, zombie Palpatine has her, again, we learn more about how her parents are killed or whatever. And guess the revelation of Hux being a spy kind of comes into relevations now. Relevations, I can't even say the word I'm trying to say, but whatever. Hux is a spy just because he wants Kylo to lose. So, does that really make him a spy? It's so inconsistent. It is so just, what? He was so incompetent, and now he's just like, I'm just a spy now, but I'm not really a spy, because it's despite Kylo, that's the only reason. Fuck. Just fuck. Oh my god. So Rey learns of her, her relations. It is revealed that she was related to Palpatine. So Palpatine fucked, and then had a baby, and then that baby grew up, and then aged, and then found someone to love, and then gave birth to Rey. That's how that works. So I don't know. Palpatine fucks. Figure that one out. Okay. Anyways, Kylo wants Rey to team up with him so they can kill Palpatine and join the dark side, because that's what Kylo still wants. But the others are there. Finn and Poe, they arrive on the ship, and they like blast off all the other troopers that are there, holding Rey at gunpoint, as if that would even mattered anyway. So Rey does an awkward movement as she jumps on the ship, but there's a pole in the way. So she, like, jumps to the pole and then, like, side rolls. Like, she does, like, if you know what wrestling is, she does, like, a 619 into the ship. That's what she does. It's like, okay. It looks really awkward. I'm just saying that. So that happens, and here we go. So remember how Hux was the spy, and it's like, Kylo, oh! So he gets blasted off in the chest and killed. And he's like, because there's this other commander guy now, he was like, I don't even remember his name. He is that forgettable. It's a new guy, the new bad guy juxtaposed to Hux. And he's like, oh, you were the spy. Bam, you're dead. That's it. End of Hux. Just, okay? You were just so nonchalant about it. You were just so, fuck it. We need to do something with Hux. And he was already fucked. He's a spy. Fuck it. Shoot him. Kill him. He can't be involved in any other way. He couldn't have just been an incompetent guy who somehow rose in the ranks. Because that's stupid too. There is no fixing that. And I understand that there is no fixing that, but man, just the way he got killed just seems so... Even that just seems so... Just get it out of the way. Just move aside. Just, move. Whatever. So Rey uses the dagger. She takes it out. She has it. And she's, like, pointing it at the ship. The Death Star. So the Death Star is still a thing. It's a relic that was left behind on this water planet or whatever it is. But I skipped ahead in my notes. I wrote in my notes that Palpatine has a little push moment with Kylo. The ship that the good guys are on crash lands, and they find the Death Star. They just find the Death Star, and Rey uses the dagger as a hidden tool. She lines it up with the Death Star, and that she she just finds this hidden compartment. She just knows to look for a hidden compartment, find it, take it out, hold it up, have it match the dents that the Death Star was in. I am not joking. This MacGuffin is just dumb. It makes no sense of, like, how would you have foreseen this? How would you have known that the Death Star was gonna crease open with that shape and have this dagger, when you line it up perfectly, it perfectly aligns and points to where another MacGuffin is, the MacGuffin triangle. So there are 3 MacGuffins in this movie. A total of 3. 1 MacGuffin is enough. That's all you really need, but this movie has 3. Alright. I'm getting lost in my notes because this movie is very long, but it's not long enough. So they find the Death Star. Do the dagger. It fits. It gives them the location. And a new lady comes in. Meet Jenna, who is another previous... she's supposed to clash over with Finn there. She was once one of the rebels. Joined in as a kid, and all the crew that are with her were also former rebels, and they have turned to the rebellion. Excuse me. So, her team, they're just others. So, Rey goes off on her own, again, to find this part. To get the triangle. Finn and Poe, while she's doing that, argue some more about, like, we're gonna get her, obviously. No, we gotta stay here, because that shit's rough out there. Remember, I said it was a water planet, and the water's, like, going crazy out there. So Rey looks around the Death Star. She's looking around, opening some doors. One door opens for her and closes for her. And then we see evil Rey. And it fights Rey. So it wasn't even a vision. Which is what the trailers were suggesting. Not in the sense that I thought, because people were looking at leaks and stuff. But people assumed that, because they saw the evil Rey in the trailer, they assumed that this was going to be some sort of vision. But it makes physical contact through her lightsaber to touch Rey's good lightsaber. So it's real? But then it's gone. But then it is gone, so was it a vision? I don't know. That makes no sense. Why would that even need to be in the movie? And that's it. That's all you get from Evil Rey. That's the whole point of that shot, was that quick, just, she's there, fight, poof, gone. It wasn't even a fight. It was like a single clash, and then just gone. Why? What was the point of that? It was so unnecessary. I get it was only like a few minutes, but it's a few, like a minute. Even minimum at that. Even that is just wasted. And this movie doesn't have the time to be wasting minutes here. Because it's got to go other places, believe it or not, to fill even more shit. So Rey takes off. But, after that, Kylo's just there, and he has the MacGuffin triangle, and he breaks it, and Rey's like, no! That was my only lead. So Leia heads out, and she's getting ready to pass away, because Carrie Fisher obviously had passed away, so they were using moments from other movies, and they did what they could with that. Fine. So anyways, Rey's upset, and Kylo's like fighting her, pushing back, whatever. And the fight just doesn't even look unimpressive, honestly. But the water is like clashing, and they aren't fighting that well. It looks so bad. This looks like one of the worst lightsaber battles I have ever seen. I can't say the word anymore. The choreographic nature of this battle is so terrible. The strikes are just, there's no oomph. They're just like, flip now. It's like nothing to this fight. It just looks so unimpressive. But Rey, in this moment, where they're both struggling to barely fight each other, first Kylo stops and he senses something in the Force, and Rey does too. And then they both realize that Leia is gone. And then in that moment, Rey, the goody two-shoes, takes advantage, stabs Kylo right in the chest, right in the side, and then after proceeds to heal, use that out of nowhere heal to heal heal Kylo after stabbing him. It's like, she's like, oh, remember that last movie where you wanted me to go with you? I wanted to take Ben's hand, remember, because that's his real name, or his first name, before he took on the name Kylo Ren. He's Ben Solo beforehand. I was like, oh, I wanted to take Ben's hand, as if that was a separate person. I wanted to be so cool with Ben, and I know deep, deep down, somewhere beyond all that evil, you're still that Ben Solo, but I don't think you're there yet. It's like, no. No, there's the line. He was past the line. He was on the other side of the line, and you're trying to drag him back. It's like, come on, what are you doing? And, you know, for what it's worth, Kylo has a moment too. Was like, he actually wins this battle, which is so surprising, considering that Rey was like always on top. But no, he had another time to kill Rey here, and the only reason he stopped was because of the Force sense of Leia passing. So we, Rey fucks off with Finn and Poe. They return to wherever the rebel base is. It's like in this outside location. Finn and Poe arrive, not knowing, but they are soon told that Leia is gone. So Kylo sees his dad, because his dad has the ability to just be a memory, not Force ghost. He's just there as a memory. That's what they say. He's a memory. And he's like, oh, your memory, you can still be good. Even after all that evil you did. Why? Why? Why would you have that moment in this movie? It makes no sense. It's all about just forgiveness, no matter what. You can forgive any action, no matter how heinous, no matter how evil. You can just forgive it all, can't you? You can just let it all go. That's what this is all about. And I lost my place in my notes again, because man, this movie is long, but not long enough. So give me a second here. So after that, after talking with dear old dad, he tosses his lightsaber. He's like, I don't want, ew, icky pooey, that evil shit, no. Okay. So yeah, Kylo's good now, I guess. That's it. Even after all the evil, he's just good now. So the new bad co-pilot guy, I think his last name was like Pride or something. That's what I heard. That's what I wrote down in my notes. Pride. So that's what I'll call him. Sent a message to Palpatine. Is like, do it. Do the evil things. Continue hunting them down. That sort of. Do the final attack. So the bad guys, out of being the bad guys, they blow up an entire planet. The entire planet where they met, what's her face? The one that Poe talked to, I already forgot her name in my notes. I don't know. Anyway. So Poe is told that he's the new top leader. He's in charge of everything. And Lando, from out of nowhere, just arrives on the scene. I guess he was just told that Leia was gone and he's just there now. Okay? So, the cone droid, remember, I mentioned that, has some access info for Poe to copy down into the computers. Meanwhile, Rey, feeling as, bad as she was after the fight, after lost Leia, she's gonna go fuck off to Porg Island. Remember Porg Island? Where all the Porgs are? There are Porgs in this movie. So, she gets visited by none other than the ghost of Luke Skywalker. And, if you didn't think that the ghost has no physical presence, Rey throws her lightsaber at the fire, and Luke Skywalker, ghost version and all, catches the lightsaber as a ghost. You can't tell me that the ghost can't affect real things when you have them physically touching real things. It's like, it's the Force lightning all over again from the previous movie. It's like, why? So Rey's afraid. She's lost her way. And they both knew, Leia and Luke, both knew that she was related to Palpatine. This entire time, they knew she was related to Palpatine, and they decided not to tell her, because they figured that would be the best solution. So she finds Leia's lightsaber, because apparently she had one too. And it shows a flashback of, like, way back when, of Luke finally training Leia, because JJ just trying so desperately to show us, like, hey, she had some training. Here, just throw it into this movie. She had training back at some point. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. She had training. It's good now. That part's fixed. But man, did you have to fuck up everything else? Every other little thing? It's like, man, it's like you're trying to stitch up a boat that has several holes, and you fix a few of them, and you're like, oh, I made a few new holes along the way. Oops. But I fixed these parts. Are you proud of me? Anyways, so Rey finds, on this island, get this, the second MacGuffin, or the third MacGuffin, sorry, the second Wayfinder, because there was two of them, they clearly stated, was on Porg Island all along. It was just there all along. So Luke had to have known about that. And get this, as if him holding up a lightsaber wasn't crazy enough, he lifts up a ship that was in the water using the Force. What the fuck is happening? Why is this happening? Why do you still have these powers that can affect the physical world? This still makes no sense from the last time. Why would you keep that in? You're trying to fix all these other holes, and you just... fuck it, he can lift up a dead ship and bring it back to life. So, after that nonsense, R2-D2's like, oh, just give C-3PO's memory back. Fuck it. He had that. So, Conehead is there too, and the other robots there. Finn and Poe and the Rebels are grouping up. They're gearing up for the big battle ahead. And Rey is on her own. Finds the location to where there are so many Star Destroyers that are getting ready to just wipe everything out. There's going to be nothing left unless the people give up. So, using Rey's coordinates, because she has the thing on her, the triangle, and that triangle's like able to like relay where her location is, the Rebels are able to warp speed to that location, so now they see all the ships. And a battle commences. The final big battle. And Finn just has another feeling, and I forget where this happens. He's like talking to the other rebel, Jenna, about like, oh, I left because I had this feeling in the Force or whatever. That's why I joined Rey in the first place. He's like, oh, I have another feeling of like, how to take out this specific ship. I know the location. I know the exact ship. It's that one. How the fuck? How? He just okay. He just knows. He just knows that that's the location. It's like, it's that one. Okay? Just know the feelings. Your feelings can guide you to a specific location to help you win the day. So, the rebels are out in space, and the ship battle commences. Rey's, meanwhile, looking around, finally sees zombie Palpatine for herself, and he's like, "I want you to join the dark side." Ooh, blah, blah, blah. And he says that, "I want you to kill me so that my evil energy will suck into you." Because that's how that always worked. Meanwhile, Finn and Jenna are fighting on the outside of the ship. And Palpatine is like opening the ship that they're on, out looking into the space. You're seeing the space battles happen, and he's like pointing out to Rey, like, "Look, your rebels won't last forever." But mind you that Finn and Jenna and all the other rebels, they are on the horses. You see this in the trailer. You see them riding out in space with these little horse, they're not horses, they're like buffalo creatures with horns. I'm not really sure what they are, but they're in space with these buffalo things, charging in space without helmets. They're fucking in space without helmets now. Okay. What's the point of helmets? Why do they exist? Why do we need them? I don't know. I don't know why we need helmets. You could just walk out into space. We see this in the fucking trailer. And at first glance, I assumed that they were closer to the ground. No, they are in fucking space. They are actually in space. And they are riding out in space. For whatever reason. They couldn't have just gone in through the ships, their own ships. Because more ships appear, mind you. I'm going to spoil that now, just so that you know there were plenty of apparent ships that were just there. But no. Anyways, Palpatine's doing his bit. Hey, join, kill me, do the ritual. And there are all these other coach guys going to it too. So Rey, not knowing truly what to do, is like, "Oh, I'm just gonna follow what Palpatine says, nice and slow." Meanwhile, Kylo's there. He found his way there. He fights his way in to where she is, and she's doing it very slowly, and she's looking at the camera, and then we keep cutting back to Kylo and Rey. They're having one final moment where she has both the lightsabers. She has Leia's lightsaber, she has Luke's lightsaber, and then somehow she has a third lightsaber. I don't even know how that happened, but she has two lightsabers currently, and she's like right there in front of Palpatine. She places her hand behind her back, looking like she's about to strike, holding the lightsaber behind her back, passing it to Kylo through the gap of their connection or whatever. So now he has the second lightsaber. She passed a physical object through time and space through the Force, as if it wasn't nonsensical enough. She passes that saber on to Kylo, so now he's able to fight more effectively, even though he could have just used the Force to fight off his own men. Because he's good now, all of a sudden. Anyways, they both ride. Kylo joins her, and they're both pulled up by Palpatine. He's like, "You're so weak," and then uses his lightning, and he starts to suck out their life force. Meanwhile, Poe's out there doing his ship nonsense, and they lose the fat guy. There was very clearly the fat guy. I don't even remember his name, but it was like, remember in Star Wars where that other fat guy got blown up? Let's blow up another fat guy because of nostalgia. So that happens, and Poe's like, no! Even though, you know, that guy talks a little bit, I don't know what his deal was, but okay. So, more rebels appear shortly after this fat guy dies, and they come with the assistance of Lando and Chewie. They have way more ships. They're popping in, they're warping in, and they see there's shovel, like, hundreds of ships. The ships that the other crew, these rebels that were on the ships, they could have been in the ships instead of on the ships, which would have made way more sense, but whatever. So Palpatine stands strong, and Kylo manages to still have enough Force energy to push himself off, and then Palpatine's like, fuck off, pushes Kylo off of the cliff face, and then he starts to send lightning out to, like, zap all of the ships that have just arrived on the scene, and he's stopping them. He's not blowing them up, he's stopping them. And Rey doesn't know what to do. She feels like she needs to desperately call out. She does this, like, at the beginning of the movie, too. She's like, oh, I need to, like, call out to... She's like, come to me, I think that's what she says. I think that's the line they give her. And through this call-out, she's able to hear the voices of all the lost Jedi along the way. You hear Luke, you hear Leia, you hear, I'm sure there are other voices in there too. Anyway, this gives her the strength necessary to block lightning with her lightsaber. She pulls out the other lightsaber, the one that Kylo had, and she's crossing her lightsabers, stopping that lightning. Meanwhile, the crew outside is struggling. Finn and Jenna, who have no space helmets, almost fall off the ship, and Lando saves them just in the nick of time. So Rey falls after doing her little bit with catching all of that lightning and sending it back to Palpatine. That's how she kills him. Just, I guess that was a force push. It didn't really look like a force push, but I guess she reversed his lightning back to Palpatine, and then he, like, zapped to death. Okay. So Kylo gets back up, and Rey has fallen unconscious. So Rey hugs her, and so get this. Kylo uses the Force heal to heal Rey. Why? How? How the fuck did he learn that shit? Is the movie seriously trying to suggest that after having it done to him, he can now suddenly just know how to do it? No training in this sort of nothing, just I can force heal now, and I'm gonna heal you specifically. So after being saved by Kylo, Rey, after everything they've been through, all of the evil, you know what Rey does? And I can't stress this enough, they kiss. She kisses Kylo, and then he proceeds to fade away into nothing. So Kylo is dead. Or at least I assume he's dead. He just faded away. So Rey kissing Kylo? Why? There was nothing there. There was nothing there. What world? Where did they have a connection? This is just... No! They were on opposing sides through the entire 2 movies. And now, after more evil Kylo, she's gonna be like, nah, fuck all that noise, I'm gonna smooch him. Why? Why? There was nothing. It came from nothing. And it could have been something, sure. I'm not even gonna argue. I'm losing my voice. I'm not even gonna argue that there could have been something, but that something needed to be established in the first movie, and it wasn't. And you know what happened in the second movie? Nothing in terms of relationship was happening, I can tell you that much for sure. But no, in the third movie, after all of that evil, not only are we gonna forgive Kylo Ren, sorry, but Rey, out of all the characters, is gonna find it in her heart to be like, nah, I love that guy. I love him so much, I'm gonna kiss him right on the mouth. Like, why? There was no setup. There was nothing. There was actually nothing for this. Nothing. And they kiss? Why? This is impossible. And they just... Why? Nothing. Just nothing. And Kylo fades away. So after that nonsense, the rebels return to celebrate. Everybody's happy, and Chewie finally gets that medal, because remember, he didn't get that medal, so he gets his medal. Fuck it. And Finn and Poe are hugging it out after, like, Poe's like, hey girl, that other, whatever her name was, the other bounty hunter, I don't even remember. And then Lando's looking to Jenna, even though they didn't establish anything with those two. It's like, I'm gonna learn about you, Jenna. I promise. Okay? I don't even know what that means. Thanks, I guess. So Rey she comes in, hugs Finn and Poe. And then it cuts to a new day, or a new set of days, I don't even know. Rey returns home. And she returns to her birthplace, I assume. And she has the two lightsabers with her. She takes them both out. She puts them in this little, like, red, like, covering. Ties them up and buries them into the sand. And then, as I mentioned, she pulls out a third lightsaber. That's a yellow lightsaber, but whatever. It's a third lightsaber. I don't even know how she obtained that. And this old lady's just there, just like, oh, what are you doing here? What's your name? Wink, wink. Wink, wink, wink. Wink, 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 wink. Wink, 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 wink. Obvious, like, oh, what's her name? Who are you? And she says, I'm Rey. And then she pauses for a bit. And then she sees Luke and Leia in the background as Force Ghost. And then she says, I am Rey Skywalker. And that's the end of the movie. Whew. What nothing? What level of nothing have we achieved in Disney Star Wars? The magic fooled me the first time. And then, after the second movie of shit came out, and right before this movie came out, I actually started to rethink about the first movie, and how much it actually didn't achieve, and it could have achieved. And I think to myself, you fucked yourself. In the first movie, don't even get it twisted about the second movie. You already fucked yourself after the first movie, let alone the second, because the second one is a train wreck. Don't get it twisted. But the first movie doesn't even set up enough. It does not. Like, Finn being this rebel, and you could have had so many interesting things. No, he's comic relief. Wasted potential. Poe could have been, they were trying, I think they were trying to make them the whole they were trying to make him the new, the Han Solo, the hot-headed gunner guy who's like, I'm gonna be like this cool guy, alright? They could have done that again. That's fine, but they don't quite do that with him. It's like, I don't even know. And he just become, I mean, I guess it would make sense for him to be in charge of everything after the fact. I don't even know. And Rey, oh my goodness. As if she wasn't powerful enough, she gets she gets powers that she doesn't, that come out of nowhere. Let's just be real. That force training did not equate to her obtaining those new powers. That's not how this works. It's actually the same issue that I had with Into the Spider-Verse, but like how Miles Morales gets beaten up, and then at the end of the movie he somehow has the combative ability to fight the Kingpin and other bad guys. No, I don't buy it, because you didn't earn that. You didn't earn that ending. I'm sorry, people who like Into the Spider-Verse, but that movie has a weak build up to how Miles became a fighter. It just happens. He's just good at fighting. That's kind of what ruins a lot of that movie for me, in fact, well, among other things. But getting back to Star Wars, Rey training does not equal her being able to use Force healing and Force lightning. That's not how it works. You have to... You need baby steps. You need something like maybe in the first movie, as far back as that even, maybe like when she's using the Force, have like a little spark come out of her. Like a little spark, and you're like, oh, that's bizarre. Okay. That would be like, you put the idea in people's heads like, it's a little odd that she would be able to do even that, but okay, it's like a little thing. Maybe like a minor healing part of like, even in the first movie, and you build up to that. You don't have that at the beginning, obviously. You needed her to be training in the beginning of the movie. That's what that her journey should have been in the first movie, but it never was. And it leads to this very clear insert of like, oh, we need to explain Rey's training now, even though we're not going to establish that we're going back in time. It's like, then why bother? Why bother showing us that if you're not going to show us how she gets to point B? It's like you were trying to, satisfy so many people, and you could have done it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it was actually surprisingly easy. Yes, I'm saying it was easy. But you needed to do that in the first movie. J.J. Abrams fucked it up. He did the magic trick, and we fell for it. So many of us fell for it. We weren't seeing so many of the gaps that actually were consistently happening. And then Rian Johnson just, he did the shit. I mean, what else is there to say? There is nothing that could have saved this movie. Absolutely nothing. You needed 2 separate movies to save this movie. First, you needed a movie. It probably should have been a prequel to the first movie, and have that entire movie be dedicated to Rey's training, fixing Finn, just retcon Finn into being a badass character, because that is what he deserves, and that's not what he got. Establish those 2 things. That should be the entire focus of that movie. That's it. No more characters. Don't add more characters. Rey and Finn. That's it. That's all you need. Rey training, her having some actual character flaws, having her build up to something, having Finn be more, retcon Finn. Just retcon Finn at this point, because by God, you needed to retcon Finn so badly. He was so mistreated throughout this entire trilogy. It's an actual joke. And Rose, whew. Did I even mention Rose? I mentioned her the one time, and I said she came back and fought, but I didn't even write it in my notes. That's how forgettable that was. She just joins the fight. She's the equivalent of an NPC in this movie. She is an NPC. That is what she is in this movie. Like, oh, can't have her doing anything else because people might think that's outlandish. They'll probably compare it to that casino scene. And, oh my lord, my boy Kylo, always getting fucked around, it seems. And Hux, oh lordy, lordy, lordy. Just two evil characters they did not know what to do with. And they were just like, Hux, spy, just throw that over there, fine, whatever. And, oh, Kylo, no matter what amount of evil he's done, he's good, guys. It's so good. He's so good even after all the death. After all the death, it doesn't matter how many people you kill. You can still be the good guy. You can do one good thing. I don't know. I've been done with Star Wars for a long time, and that role being revealed to me was just... I look back on that review I did of the first Disney Star Wars movie, and I think to myself, man, I fell for that shit. Hook, line, and sinker. So, that's done. That's over. Star Wars, I'm kind of like how I've been recently with superhero movies. I've kind of been like, the recent superhero movies, there's been like one or two good ones, I guess. But, like, I am just... There is no energy right now for Star Wars, for a future of Star Wars. Honestly, I don't know where you go to... You need to just do a whole, because I'm assuming Star Wars is going to continue in some sort of way in the future. I'm pretty sure The Mandalorian's still a show that I have not even checked out, but I heard is getting worse and worse, which isn't even a surprise to me. So I didn't even want to bother checking it out if it's just going to be a show that sort of like tumbles and falls apart so quickly. Like, damn, what a bad franchise. Like, I legit feel bad for Star Wars fans, because I think they deserve a better franchise. They deserve a better Star Wars. Like, you had 3 good ones, and then you had your prequel, which was like, it wasn't necessary. It was doing its own little weird thing. It had its own bumble of falls. And then the magic trick happened. The first Disney Star Wars movie happened, and everyone was like, oh, Everyone fell for the magic trick, and then they were like, oh no, this is where it's going? Rian Johnson, no. And then this movie comes out, and people are like, oh, you tried, and you couldn't fix it. There were too many holes. There were too many holes on the ship. You couldn't repair all of them. And along the way, you weren't even realizing you were creating new holes. Just, okay. I don't know. Like, what is there good about this movie? It's not the fighting, because I said, I thought the fighting looked awful. It's like, again, I think this is the worst lightsaber fight in the history of Star Wars. Maybe my memory is failing me right now, but I don't remember a fight that bad. That fight looked horrible. It looked terrible. There was just no passion, no sense of, like, oomph to it. Just spin now. There felt like there was emotion before, but now it's just like, just do the thing. I don't even know. I don't even know if I should give this a 2 out of 10, honestly. I don't think it deserves anything higher than a 2 out of 10. And that's saying a lot. I can't think of a lot good here. Everything just falls apart when you take a few seconds to see what is happening on the screen and go, Why? Why are so many of these things happening? Why does the energy just seem so zero? Even the attempts at comedy, which is something they were trying to self-insert, because Disney, or, the root in his comedy, throw it in Star Wars, fuck it. Even that, it felt like it was non-existent. Like, they weren't even trying to do comedy. They're like, troopers can fly now, it's a joke, get it? I don't get it. Were there any other jokes in this movie? If there were, I can't think of any of them. Were there any good characters in this movie? No. No. Characters? What's that in Star Wars? Fuck it. Just flip everything. Flip Kylo, because he's gonna be... and then Rey's like, yeah, I'm gonna kiss that guy. I'm gonna have powers you haven't even seen yet. Make no sense of that. Finn and Poe just are along for the journey. Rose just there at the beginning, there at the end. That's it. And you gotta introduce more characters as if this wasn't convoluted enough. There was Jenna, and there's that one that Poe liked. I already forgot her name. I wrote it in my notes, but I'm not even gonna bother scrolling up. That's how forgettable she was. I don't know. That's it. That's my review. 2 out of... does this even deserve a 2 out of 10? Is it a 1 out of 10? I think so. Is it a 0 out of 10? I mean, that could be a first. I've done a 10 out of 10 movie before. And it happened. And I was surprised by the movie. But man, I don't think I've ever hit a 0 out of 10. And I feel like this might be the first. I feel like this is not even a movie. This is just a train wreck is what this is. This is a sinking boat is what this movie is. I made that analogy twice and I'm making it a third time. This is not a complete movie. This is a, analogy, train wreck, boat with holes in it. Those are the two I can think of at the top of my head, so those are the ones I'm going to stick with. This is incomplete. This is an incomplete trilogy. I can't believe that. How did you accomplish that? How did you fail on that level? And it didn't have to be that way. All you had to do was take the time. That's all you needed. Take the time. Set up your characters. Have them be characters. It's not that fucking hard. As someone who's written my own book and has failed, has objectively written a piece of shit, I know what shit is. And I'm looking at it. I looked at it. It's called Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. My God, I thought nothing could be worse than my book, because my book is garbage. It is actually objectively garbage. And I'm telling you that as someone who wrote the book. It is fucking atrocious. But this doesn't even fucking work. This doesn't even fucking work. It falls apart. This is a sinking ship from the get-go, too. This whole trilogy has been a mess. It's like, fuck it, give it to Disney. And Disney seemed like they were attempting to care about the MCU. Again, I ask again, why not give Star Wars the MCU treatment? How is it that hard to say, we're going to be invested, we're going to make our characters, we're going to make sure we know what we are doing? That's all you needed to do. And you could have done it. Star Wars, I don't know if the people who made this know this, but Star Wars is a big fucking deal. If you made a movie called Star Wars, guess what? Millions of people are gonna go watch Star Wars. But you know what? You could have made another Star Wars movie after that, and you could have had these little building blocks. You could have done it MCU style, have a much smaller movie, be the movie of Rey and Finn. That's it. Start off with that. Start simple. Start small. Start building these little pieces, placing them strategically. Let people build. Let people connect. Let people see that you're trying to make something worth the name of Star Wars again. Because Star Wars has been dead for years, as far as I'm concerned. And you brought back the magic trick. And you had people fall for it unannounced that, again, there was a much better strategy here. There was a much better solution to this. Give it the MCU treatment. Done! I fixed Star Wars in one sentiment. Give it the MCU treatment. Done! It is that fucking simple. We have the example. It exists. We know it can be done. And it's fucking Star Wars. Of course it can be done. They throw millions of dollars at these movies. Of course it can be. It could have been done. They could have made several movies. We know this. They have the money. They just needed the talent in writing. That's all you needed, was a competent writer who knew the Star Wars and could have built these new characters and just have it start small. That's all you needed to do. You know Han Solo, that movie? That movie should have been called Rey. Like Star Wars, the story of Rey. Done! Fix that shit. One movie. There you go. You start off with that. You start small. You put the building piece there. You have her train. You give her a character to be. And you have something. You have your building block. And you just move from there. You move to the next character. You can look at Finn next. He could have his own movie. The whole Rebel thing, that in itself, it's its own movie, if you ask me. Next movie, Star Wars, the story of Finn. Second character established. There you go. There's your second story, your second movie. You start to build up that sort of MCU vibe. You have your Thor, you have your Iron Man, you have your Captain America movie, you have your singular superhero movie, you have your singular Star Wars character movie. That's how you fix Star Wars. That's what Disney should have done from the beginning, and it fucked it up from the very first Star Wars movie. It fucked it up. And no one can tell me otherwise, because I'm giving you the alternative that would have worked. You just needed a better writer. That's it. It's so simple. I'm giving this movie a 0 out of 10. A first ever time I've ever done it. A 0 out of 10. This is not a movie. It's a fucking train wreck. It's a fucking disaster. It equates to the book I wrote. And I'm saying that book that I wrote it. It's called Syndicate X. It's a piece of trash. And somehow, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker is in league with my piece of shit called Syndicate X. It's a 0 out of 10. I'm done. This has been my review of Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. And if you enjoyed that lengthy review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also make sure to check out those links in the description. One will head you over to my Discord, the other to my Patreon page. And if you want to give money to someone who's willing to try, I might not have the best quality. I might be nearly homeless. I might not do the best video reviews from time to time. I might fuck up and do a 2-minute, just recap. I fucked up in the past in my reviews, and I apologize for those reviews. I really do. I've been trying to grow. I've been trying to become a better reviewer. I have been trying to get better. So consider joining a Patreon for someone who actually tries. So someone who actually gives a fuck about trying. Because that's what this Star Wars didn't do. It didn't try. Disney Star Wars did not try. It failed. It is the essence of failure in every degree. So join that second link, and please feel free to make any donations. They are desperately needed. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.